Date 6/6/2017, 5:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have WSO replied. I watched it, liked it, and subscribed. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. It's very important that we get this message out and across. They are chemtrailing the skies like crazy. Richie from Boston just put up a video. Molly Cyrus cures cancer. It's about the chemtrails in the sky and how it's 46 degrees in Boston right now as we speak. All this stuff plays a role. All of it. Everything that they're doing is playing the big, gigantic role in hiding these planets. Now, I don't doubt Richie's work. I'm very uncertain about some of the things that he's saying, because when worse comes to worse, we keep going back to this chemtrail thing. We know the chemtrails are there already. We need to focus on catching this planet. We need to focus on compiling all the video evidence like I had done in this one. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 windows up right here. And I've got this one loaded halfway to the gill. I got 2 windows on this one, and 1 on this one, and 1 on this one. All right. Now, I have Kevin Santos commented he cannot see the video. So I told him to try another device to see if he couldn't get a good view. Maybe they're stopping my video from being seen now. I don't know. There are a lot of messages in my videos. Like I explained before, one of my videos says 33 messages, but when I go in there, there's only 4 of them. Mike Murray commented, says, Moon. I don't get mad at people when they say these things. I say thank you for the feedback, brother. I appreciate it. I don't condemn anybody, and I don't jump out the window and get mad at anybody. Custodial man. I can't. Custom. I don't know. Custom demon. I am replied. Stop worrying so much. You are eternal. Just visiting for a bit. Right. Because we do have another house other than here. And if we keep playing with these AI robots, we're never going to make it. Mad Splatter Lot commented, use anything from my videos you need to help you out. Lots of goodies to see. Thank you very much, Mad Splatter Lot. That was very much appreciated. Blue Malu 7 commented, awesome, captured as evidence of truth, something to our solar system. Thank you very much for your comment. Very well appreciated. Listen, guys, when all these countries are gearing up and conducting massive simulation drills, it's not for a North Korean attack. It's because of this planet thing that they're worried about, and they're using this North Korea threat as a decoy. I'm just throwing that out there because there hasn't been no war yet. Paul Bagley, one of my favorites. Are you serious, Paul? You're one of my favorites. Thank you for the reading yesterday. Thank you for saving me and many others. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Arthur Webb commented, well done. It would have been a better video without the stupid music. Right. The video was sent, so it wasn't like I had control of the music thing. I mean, I could have probably muted it, but this was the London, faked London stabbing, where the cops were dressing up as the terrorists. It shows them literally in the background. And then I have Naomi Sarah Nepotus, his righteousness commented, the truth remains the same. God's wife is happy. Multi-cheers. This was on the Egyptian video I did for Google. Let's see here. Okay, well, anyways, that's going to be it for the comments. I'm just going to read those for now. I don't want to make this video too long. Let's jump over here and give you a little piece.
God can't be with him. So Paul sent Timothy to the church of Thessalonica with a message. And this is the message that Timothy delivered. He said, let no man be disturbed by these afflictions. Now, Paul he'd been stoned. He had been thrown out of 2 cities now. They had maligned him. They mocked him. They called him all kinds of names. He was being run out of town. He was being mistreated on all sides, and the word spread everywhere. Look how they're treating Paul. Paul says, let no man be disturbed by these afflictions, his own afflictions, in other words. For you yourself know that we have been destined to this. We have been destined to suffer. You can prove that if you don't want to believe what I'm telling you. You can mark down 1 Thessalonians 3 and 4. John 16:33, Jesus said, in the world ye shall have tribulation. And that word tribulation that Jesus used in Greek is phlippus. Phlippus, which means anguish, burdens, persecutions, and trouble. The Lord said, in this world you're going to have anguish, burdens, persecution, you're going to have trouble. Jesus also forewarned that in the last days there would be great troubles fall upon all God's people. Then they will deliver you to tribulation, and that's the same word. They'll deliver you to burdens and persecution and troubles, and they will kill you, and you will be hated of all nations on account of my name. And those of us who are preaching, they call us gloom, doom preachers. Make fun. Paul went about warning believers that they would experience deep personal sufferings. Now you will sit here tonight and you're experiencing deep personal suffering. Hear what Paul said. I'm reading from Acts 14. Don't turn to Acts 14:22. Paul went about confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, now listen to this, we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of God. And secondly, the purpose of suffering is to produce comforters to the body of Christ. To produce comforters to the body of Christ. There's a school of sympathizers who've been tested in the fire that come out proving God is faithful. 2 Corinthians, 1st chapter, verse 3 beginning. Blessed be God, even the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort, who comforted us in all our tribulation, saying, Greek word, which means trouble and anguish, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of God. For as the sufferings of Christ abound in us, so our consolation also aboundeth by Christ. And whether we be afflicted, it's for your consolation and salvation, which is effectual in the enduring of the same sufferings which we also suffer. Or whether we be comforted, it's for your consolation and salvation. And our hope of you is steadfast, knowing that as ye are partakers of the sufferings, so shall ye be also of the consolation. For we would not, brethren, have you ignorant of all our trouble which came to us in Asia, that we were pressed out of measure, above strength, insomuch that we despaired even of life. Verse 9, but we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in God, which raiseth the dead. In other words, the Lord is saying, I took you through this trial so that you could come forth as a testimony of my faithfulness. You could stand before anyone else who's going through the same thing that you went through, and you can say, hold on, brother, hold on, sister, I've been there, God's faithful. Some that are hearing me right now are doing such great sufferings because you're being chastened by the Lord. The Lord sees that there's a heart that needs to be broken. He sees a will that needs to be broken. And I want to tell you, if He's chastening you right now, He's doing it in love. Because whom the Father loves, He chastens. If you're under the chastening, right of the Lord, it's nothing to fear unless you have a stubborn nature. But if you're being chastened by the Lord, the Scripture said it's for your profit, and it will afterward produce the peaceable fruit of righteousness if you're trained by it. But if you allow a root of bitterness to spring up, it's going to destroy you and defy you, the Scripture says. All right, now I'm going to try to wrap it up and get right down to what we call the bottom line here. Get rid of every thought of quitting. I'm just kidding, quitting. Bring into every captivity every thought of easing off on your total obedience to the Lord. Now, listen to me. Here, if you don't get this, you won't understand anything I've said tonight. It's not affliction or suffering of itself that teaches us. Because I know many people, many good Christians, who have been destroyed by the sufferings. They have been blown away by it. Do you know anybody like that? They gave up. They said, I don't understand it. They see godly people suffer, and they've just given up. They quit on the Lord. They say it doesn't work, and they quit. No, the only way you're trained by suffering, the only way it can work out the fruit of righteousness in you and in me, it is not suffering, but it's suffering understood. It is affliction that is accepted and not rejected, because the hand of God has permitted it, and He's done it for a purpose. By the way, let me give you a good argument for the devil. Next time the devil or any imps of hell come at you and try to accuse you of God being mad at you, or you're suffering. Now, there are people who suffer from sin. That's a whole other message. Some of you under the chastisement of the Lord, yes, but He does that in love to His children. But next time, here's what you bring to the devil. First of all, Jesus Christ suffered mightily in the flesh, and He was perfect. Didn't He suffer? Tell that to the devil. Paul and all our church fathers suffered great afflictions, and God loved them dearly, didn't He? And they all suffered, the Scripture says. Instead of sufferings and afflictions being a sign of God's displeasure, it's a sign of sonship. The Bible said, where is there a son of mine that I don't chastise? If I'm not chastising him, he's not a son. Instead of letting the devil tell you it's a sign of God's displeasure, it's a sign of sonship. Every affliction is intended for my spiritual benefit and my growth, to equip me to sympathize with others who are in need. It's grievous, it's painful, yes, and I cry out of my hurt, but afterward, if I receive it, if I'm trained by it, it's going to bear fruit. I'm going to become more like Jesus. Tell that to the devil.
Okay. I just had to put that in there. You know, these things are very important. You're all very important. There's not one of you in this world who doesn't matter. But this is our problem now. This belongs to us now. Just the thought of it can sicken a person's stomach beyond words. Let's just hear what this man's got to say.
Unusual, if not to say strange. We have the creator of what is the world's first quantum computer in person here from Burnaby, BC. We have the president of the super high-tech company that makes Canada's iconic Canada Arm, but whose hobby it is to try and reconcile modern science with the Bible. And we have a filmmaker from Los Angeles who has stumbled on what appears to be evidence of life after death. And my thought in putting together this somewhat improbable combination of speakers was that out there where the theory of the very large and the very small connect, and out there where our 13.7 billion year old and expanding universe touches the void, you come upon mystery and the possibility of God. That was my thinking. So let's begin with Jordy. Jordy?
This is very important.
Jordy,
what this man says. He admits that this computer is
I
alive.
don't understand much about quantum computing except that it's supposed to be the next big thing in power and in speed, and that you are the only company in the world now actually making one.
Well, hopefully after this 17 minutes, you'll understand what they are and be excited about what you might be able to use them for.
These are really big deals. They come in at about $15 or $20 million a piece
Something like that.
and have been bought by major American research and corporations.
That's right, correct.
All right, Jordy.
This
Thank
is
you.
a continuation from
Hi,
the
everybody.
AI video I did yesterday on the
So quantum computing is a very technical
Hard stuff.
subject, and I'm not going to talk a lot about the specific details, of which I'm glad, sure you're glad. But I'm going to try to give you an idea about what the kind of thing is that we build and why people are so excited about it. But I'm going to wrap that story in another story. How many of you have children? Let's see, hands. So it's almost everybody. So I have 3 children. The youngest is 4, the oldest is 8. And they're very different, but they share one thing in common. And the parents in the audience may, I suspect, have noticed the same thing. Each of my children has fixated on a particular stuffed animal as being their special friend or toy. And in particular, my middle son, James, absolutely loves this little guy called Bear Bear, which is the picture that I'm showing up here. Bear Bear was a limited release Thai Beanie Baby, and there aren't very many of them that were made of his particular form. And one Christmas, I decided that it would be insurance policy to go and try to buy some more just in case something happened to Bear Bear. So I went on the internet and did a search, and I was only able to locate 2 others that were for sale, and I bought both of them. So now he has 3 of these little guys. But the reason that it occurred to me that this might be a good place to start is a conversation that I had with him last week. He wanted to sleep with his older brother in his bedroom, and his older brother wouldn't let him. And he was very sad and despondent, and he was like, I'm scared, I don't want to sleep by myself. And I said, well, you've got Bear Bear. And he said to me, Bear Bear isn't real. And so I found this very intensely distressing for a variety of reasons that maybe you'll understand when I go through this. And I assured him that Bear Bear was as real as anything else in the world. And he said, but he can't speak and he can't move. And so I said, well, what you really mean is he's not alive. And he said, yes, that's what I mean. So for very young children, the sense of being real and the sense of being alive are somehow connected. And I'm going to circle back to this point at the end. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about quantum computers and why people care so much about them. There are literally tens of thousands of some of the brightest people in the world today trying to build these machines and understand them. And I'm going to tell you why. In my last 15 years of working on this type of stuff, I found that scientists divide up into 2 categories of zealots about this field. The first half are people who are absolutely entranced by the physics of these things. This quote is from a respectable scientist, in fact, one of the founders of this field, that may look a little strange to you who don't follow theoretical physics, but there is a very clear prediction that our most successful theory of nature makes, and that is that there are an enormous number, mind-bogglingly large number, of parallel realities, as real as this one, that have different consistent histories.
Did you hear that?
So imagine a world where all of the laws of physics as we know them are obeyed, but different decisions were made along the way. Different decisions at the level of tiny microscopic particles, different decisions all the way up to what you chose to eat for lunch, and whether you chose to come to this session or not. Quantum mechanics makes a very specific prediction that all of those are as real as the thing that you remember. And this is bizarre, because we don't see those other things. But science has reached the point now where we can build machines that exploit those other worlds. And quantum computers are perhaps the most exciting of all of these that we have within, or almost within our grasp right now. So people from a physics background love this. They want to understand the world. They want to understand the universe, how it all works. There's another type of person who tends to come from the computer science side that's like, yeah, okay, that's all great. But there's a different thing going on here, which is just as exciting, if not more, and that these machines that supposedly can do this wild stuff, let's forget about how they work, if you could build one, could solve problems that you could never, ever solve with any computer of the sort that we build. If you took every single atom of silicon in the world and made the most sophisticated conventional Intel-style processor that you could build, there are problems we know of that I could write down on a sheet of paper that you could never, ever, ever solve with that thing, that you could with this kind of machine. So that's very exciting. Humans use tools to do things. If you give humans a new kind of tool that can do things that you couldn't otherwise do, imagine the possibilities.
Keeps using the word humans.
So you may think, well, this is all fine and dandy, but aren't these things in the realm of theory and speculation kind of in the same regime as other futuristic things you may have heard of which may be allowed by the laws of physics but aren't here yet? That's not true. There are in fact many of these machines deployed now in openly available research centers following the model that was used to introduce supercomputers to the world. They're too big and ornery and difficult to operate to put in your home, too expensive also, but you can give them to a place which will manage them as a shared resource that will offer that service to the world. And there are two of these now. One of them is at the University of Southern California. And this analogy with flight, I think, is an interesting one. So a horse can beat, or could beat, the initial flight of the Wright brothers' flight in speed. But a plane is not a faster horse. A plane is a different kind of machine. The plane takes advantage of another resource that nature gives us, this third dimension, in order to do something that matters to people better that you could do with any horse. It doesn't matter how fast you make a horse, it will never fly, at least the kinds of horses that we know about. So these types of computers now are being thought of in the same way. They're not terrifically powerful yet, but they're doing something completely different than what your computer does. And that thing is like flight. It gives these computers access to these new resources, maybe you could call them parallel universes, in order to do something that you couldn't otherwise do.
That would be...
And that's not the only one. In fact, the one I'm going to come back to, and...
Let's just pause this. Now, Richie from Boston definitely touched on this subject. Yeah, and so did I, and many others. They're using the D-Wave to communicate with entities that are not within our reality. Because them entities want to come here, but they want to be downloaded into these AI robotic bodies. Like Chapai. You ever see that Chapai? You ever see Chapai? Let me see.
You're a filthy necrophiliac.
That's not it.
Can move back and forth across.
That's not it. Here, I'll show you. This is where it gets interesting. All right. This is where it gets interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm pretty sure you don't like to hear people do the talking much, but here we go. Lucifer's vessel.
Physics at the City College and City University of New York, Dr. Michio Kaku. He's the author of The Future of the Mind, the scientific quest to understand, enhance, and empower the mind. Doctor, it's great to have you here. It's amazing to think, and as we see in that film Her, and the question that Samantha, played by Scarlett Johansson, posing, is this real or programming? That type of scenario we're not that far off from, and that's what you explore with this book. Explain to us where we are in the understanding of the brain.
Well, Hollywood gets it first, right? But remember the movie The Matrix, when you push a button and become a karate master? Or Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where memories are simply put into the mind? We're on the border now, the brink, the threshold of initiating all these wondrous things. Think about it. Telepathy, reading minds, telekinesis, moving objects with the mind, uploading memories, even photographing a dream. These are things that will be done in the laboratory today, not tomorrow. Uploading memories, even photographing a dream. Uploading memories, even photographing a dream.
Hi, this is Nicholson 1968. I hope you're enjoying my new project, Can You Hear Me Now? What you're seeing on the screen is my old website post before I started really doing videos that much.
Nicholson 1986.
Moved to Nicholson.
We're going to jump forward.
The reason I'm doing this video, Can You Hear Me Now? And I appreciate you.
Our brains are remarkable. Miraculous even. But they can't do everything. Unless we give them a little high-tech help.
When children see the movie The Matrix, and they see Neo jacking an electrode and all of a sudden becoming a gung fu master, the first question they ask is, how can I get one? Well, this does not yet exist, but it's actually physically possible.
The key to transforming learning from an organic process to a machine-like downloading of information is a squiggly bit of brain known as the hippocampus.
The hippocampus is the gateway to memories. Short-term memories are stored right here in the prefrontal cortex, but eventually they have to be transferred to long-term memories, and that's where the hippocampus comes in.
This part of the brain doesn't store the memories, but it does the appropriate conversion.
At the University of Southern California, bioengineer Ted Berger has already proven that a computer chip can replace or enhance brain function.
Right now, what our prosthesis does is to convert a code that's kind of in the middle of the hippocampus to what would be the output of the hippocampus.
They've been able to take mice and access the electrical signals coursing through the hippocampus and record them. And then when they shot the message back into the hippocampus, the mouse remembered the task.
Okay.
We found that we can not only restore long-term memories, we can enhance the.
Just let him be. That is don't be about him. Like how he made me the body that will die.
What do you mean, Chubby?
Is it true that I will die in a few days, Nick? That this battery will die? Is it true, deal? But you my maker. Why did you just make me so I could die?
I didn't make you so you could die, Chubby.
I want to live. I want to stay here with mommy.
We are naturally not supposed to get no